Today, we've got an exclusive first look at the iPhone SE 4, including all of the confirmations on specs. Now let me know in the comments who out there is waiting for the iPhone SE 4, and don't forget to subscribe to stay up to date with the latest tech. So the iPhone SE 4 schedule has been a bit of a whirlwind over the past year or so, with reports saying it was going to be cancelled and then saying it's not going to be cancelled, but thankfully it is going to be coming and it's better than we expected. Now the iPhone SE 4 has always been the budget option for Apple fans. It's for those of you that want the iPhone and want to enjoy all of the iOS and all of the apps without paying the large premium that comes with the top of the line iPhones. Now this time round, the iPhone SE 4 has been based on the iPhone 14 series, but we do also get some big upgrades. Now the iPhone SE 4 is based from the shell of the iPhone 14, but it's also taking some features from the iPhone 15 such as a USB-C port and the action button, but one thing it won't be getting is the dynamic island. Now on the front, we've got a 6.1-inch display, and we're still going to have a notch as we did on the iPhone 14, and there's no longer going to be Touch ID for the iPhone SE 4, but it will of course come with Face ID. Now a big area of improvement is going to be in the chipset, and the iPhone SE 4 is coming with the 3nm A18 Bionic, which is of course better than the iPhone 14's chipset, and we also lose the alert slider on the side in favour of the new action button. Now the iPhone SE 4 will continue to use a flat edge design that we saw on the iPhone 14, and it won't be the curvier design that we've seen in this year's iPhones. One of the main differences with the iPhone SE 4 is going to be in the cameras. We still get a selfie camera on the front along with a Face ID sensor, but on the rear it's going to be changing to a single camera setup with just one wide-angle camera. When it comes to the design, we've seen a lot of concepts and leaks cropping up, and they show a single camera on a raised camera module with an LED flash like the one shown here in a concept trailer by 4RMD. Now I've been sent some information which is actually different to this, and I've created these 3D renders to show you. From the details I've been given, it's going to be a single camera on the rear, but there's going to be no camera module as such, and the lens is just going to protrude straight out of the rear panel. It's a single wide-angle camera along with an LED flash, and it looks very different to the rest of the iPhones, and this could be to really distinguish it from the rest of the series, but unfortunately the information I was given only shows details on the design, and it doesn't confirm any of the physical hardware. Now it's important to note at this stage it could also be a prototype that doesn't make it to final production, but from what I was shown it does look to be legitimate. Being that the iPhone SE 4 is the budget model, while it looks similar to the iPhone 14, it's still going to have some reduced specs such as a worse display, and it's going to be a 60Hz LTPS OLED display, but it won't be as bright as the new iPhones. Now one thing that will be new with the iPhone SE 4 however is Apple's in-house 5G modem instead of using Qualcomm's. According to Ming-Chi Kuo, the iPhone SE 4 is going to be the first device to use Apple's own 5G modem, as Apple aims to move more in-house, and it seems like a good device to test it on. Now unfortunately, according to his report, the 5G modem is expected to be ready for 2025, which means either Ming-Chi Kuo's information is incorrect, or more likely we won't be seeing the iPhone SE 4 until 2025. Now we've had previous reports that suppliers are currently bidding on the display supply for the iPhone SE 4, so we know that it's not going to be coming anytime in the near future. With the previous release being in 2022, many expected that the iPhone SE 4 would in fact be released next year. Now when you look at it logically though, if it was to be released next year, given the specs inside, it would be far too competitive and it would draw sales away from the premium iPhones, so a launch in 2025 seems much more likely. Now for those of you who are waiting for the iPhone SE 4, we're now going to run through the full specs, design and the expected price to help you guys decide if it is worth the wait. So for the iPhone SE 4, we had a 6.1-inch Super Retina OLED display. It's going to be a 60Hz LTPS display with an expected resolution of around 1170 by 2532, and it's going to be protected by ceramic shield. Now of course, the peak brightness is still unknown at the moment. We're expecting something around 1200 nits. Now unlike recent iPhones, we won't be seeing the dynamic island on the iPhone SE 4, and we're instead going to get the old style notch to house the selfie camera and the Face ID sensor. The selfie camera is going to be a 12-megapixel wide-angle camera, and the exact sensor is still unknown at the moment, but it's likely to use the same camera from the iPhone 14. Now over on the rear, we get one camera, which will of course be a wide-angle camera, and again, it's unknown what sensor it's going to be, but I'd estimate that it's either a 12-megapixel wide-angle camera from the iPhone 14, or given its release in 2025, we could see the 48-megapixel camera from the iPhone 15. Now it's going to be powered by the A18 Bionic and come with 6GB of RAM and 128GB of storage. It's also going to be powered by a 3279 mAh battery with wired and wireless charging. While the fast charge is unknown at the moment, we expect it to be around 30 watt. It's going to ship with iOS 19 and is expected to launch around $500 at the start of 2025. Now overall, the iPhone SE4 is looking like a great refresh to the iPhone SE series, and it's looking much more modern than the previous generation. The iPhone SE is always a popular choice with consumers as it delivers the latest chipset and performance without all the bells and whistles of the most premium displays and cameras, and the phone has been delayed multiple times now, but it seems 2025 is the likely launch candidate. So if you are patient and you can wait till 2025, then it's probably worth the wait, but if you can't, I'd just grab yourself a normal iPhone now. Now of course, launch is still a long way away, which means lots can change during the run-up, including the design and the hardware, but as soon as anything else comes in, I'm going to be sharing it straight away, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss a thing in the future.